Shalom, shalom, Yashala. Giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakah Kadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostles, bishops, elders, great millstone. Much time takes to the brothers teaching word for the hopeful elect, soon to be elect, most high will. And he said he's shortening the time for the elect's sake. And work is being done to the contrite spirits, the extended hope for elect, multitude returning back to the most high blessings. And the script of the day is Mark 8:36. It says, "For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" Man, I was talking to Jake at the job, and he told me about how he had a business going, and he was talking about the whole structure of how he set things up, and he was head of the company, and basically he was trying to own his own business overall, even into some kind of futuristic vision of his own, to where he's rich, and he expressed kind of like that should be the ideal of how every Jake operates, to reach that goal, that 50 Cent thing, get rich or try dying. But the thing is too that I think it was a moving company he was the head of. Yeah, he had 8 employees, and he said a couple of them robbed. They moving company, and they travel, and they move people into their homes, even out of their homes, and very profitable business. And he said, he was working on the table, and he had 2 guys that robbed one of the houses that they moved, helped someone move into, and it was a lawsuit against him, for a lot of money. And he said that the dudes that robbed the people, they I think it added $18,000, and then some more merchandise, whatever. Well, more material things that they had stolen from their house. And he was talking about that this time he gonna do it right. He was working on a table he wasn't supposed to. He said this time he gonna do it right, and then he got to the point where he said, he mentioned religion. I guess he was talking about his family and all that, and my family, some of my family religious and all that, and I understand that, but I ain't waiting on no Jesus, And he kind of paused, like as if he was waiting for a response from me, But I didn't say anything. We were working. He's new. This is the first day, the job. And, I thought about saying something, but I was like, yeah, the spirit didn't hit me to say anything, But, and I was, in my mind, I was thinking, yeah, what's the worth of waiting on Jesus, we know in the truth who Jesus is, but we're waiting on Yahweh Shai. And it's you know, even though he ignorantly called him Jesus Christ, and I know what he meant, the Son of God, and you know, he's like kind of like mocking his return, which it talks about. I think Second Peter, if I'm not mistaken, they count Most High as promises slackness, that his what they say it was about the five virgins that went and slumbered and slept when the bridegroom tarried. Then he returned. You know, they were out of luck. You know, had some oil from the other five virgins. So, and a lot of Israelites that are waking up to the truth into a camp, and have fallen back into the world. Pretty sure they think the same thing. They get weary enough, and then they be like, well, it says, well, to them that lost patience, they get weary and say, well, dang, I'm missing good opportunities. Like it said, labor not to be rich, but I want to be rich. Or, even by the code of GMS, oh, they talking about not mess with women. Shit, I got this female and shit. We supposed to get together, and she got her pops got a business, or she's into real estate and all that, and she wants me to get into that. So man, I'm not gonna miss this opportunity. Now, there's nothing wrong with making money. We always say that. It's in scripture, it said, "Labor not to be rich." It didn't say, be broken and bummed out. You can make money, you know. And we've seen, it says even in scripture, the rich have received consolation. And Luke, woe to them that are rich, they receive their consolation. Consolation. So I hope I'm saying that right. And he's not learned, and that is going to be a theme with those that lost patience. Like, hey man, it's taking a long time. I don't know if this is true or not. Or a lot of these so-called Muslims, they say, well, they're waiting on a guy to come back. Them people are crazy. Or, this guy to come back. People are crazy. Israelites are crazy. Well, but we've seen those people that gained the wealth and lost their soul. We've seen those sold out people. I mean, if you're trying to climb up the ladder in corporate America, and to get rich, especially with the dollar increasing in value, if I'm saying that right, because I know apostles explain that. You're gonna fail. I mean, this society was, set up by Esau to have Jake fail. Now you hear about black businesses and black rich people. Like I said, they're tied into this. All the black businesses that they present, they talk about, is tied into this BET bullshit, this black boule bullshit. So you don't know what the hell they have done to get there. And you have to rub shoulders with the so-called white man, and you're into the mind of this system. So you're going to take the MOTB, and a lot of people don't believe in that. A lot of people don't believe the end of the world. A lot of people just believe that, people just die and that's it. And but something is going down. Something went down, even when slavery was heavy on the soil of America, which is according to prophecy. Those things you can't deny, and that's the history that we know about, and a lot of jakes don't know in detail, but that had everything to do with why we're in a low state, and everything to do with how true things are concerning this Bible, that speak about prophecies. Because it's like, yeah, why did that happen to a people for that long, and crazy, inhumane acts of an enemy that have rule over us even to this day. So, everything is not equal. Everything is, not balanced. You could be like, well, let me own a business, let me get out there, and then, somebody rob your ass, or let me try to go for a degree, and you get all the way to the close to the top, and then they say, well, the economy falls. There's a blackout, there's civil war, there's the World War III. So you can't control your own. You can't. There's no destiny for Jake. Manifest destiny. You already know if you read it on Esau's side, but if it's if you're talking about us, then the only way we're gonna get out of this, where the so-called the enemy is not over, is Yahweh Shai. So those people that mock the Son of God's return, or that's a myth, or it's made up, well, and then they tend to try to strive in the world and try to come up that way, your best chances is to wait for the return of the Son of God. Best believe. Because, yeah, you can get away, cracks and all that, and some jakes can get away with that. They can make decent money, but with these world events go down, with politicians, presidents, what have you, bills changing, bills into law to where they're going to affect you no matter what, because you're part of the you're part of this system. You could try to go off the grid, and you're going to have to know how. It could still affect you greatly, because you don't know how to survive like that. So even in that, it says a lot about something's going on. A lot of this stuff means something, man. Because now they're trying to make it seem like we're crazy for believing in the things we believe in. Chariots, Son of God, our salvation, which it says is nearer than when we believed. The return of the Son of God. Somebody said a sky god one time. But they'll be fascinated by Esau, jets and planes and his future inventions, that lead to taking over the sky, the firmaments, and into space and all that. They'll probably work for NASA, some coon ass shit. So, and you can't believe in the devil and not believe in God. You know what I'm saying? You can't believe in wickedness and things that's happening on the earth when people say, yeah, it's getting worse, when there is no better or there is no righteous. So these people unlearned, and a lot of them are hypocrites, and a lot of them are just, sometimes it comes down to stupidity. But anyway, what is that? So it's some people that have, gained the world and lost their own soul. Trying to make profit, trying to make riches, denying us coming to the Son of God, denying the truth, you know. So, we've seen the our people with riches, and you'll have, when it's like when the rug is swept under their feet, they don't know what to do. They might blow their brains, be suicidal, whatever, you know, or they just fall straight back to the bottom. They become a felon. You know, so what does that mean? You know, and according to what do you call it? Some people believe that whatever energy you put out is what you're gonna get, and I understand that it's in the scriptures. What you sow is what you reap. You reap what you sow. I understand that. It's a lot of, but you know, with Jake being under the curses, you could have a perfect record. You could do perfect according to society, so to speak. Be a common man, 9 to 5, what have you, good job, have a family, and do all this. And when the wickedness exceeds the so to speak, the righteousness on the earth, because according to prophecy, you're going to you're going to be affected by it, you know, or like I said, you work all that hard and then you get robbed, or your wife leaves you, your wife divorces you, child support and all that, or your kids become rebellious, so at a young age, and then cause you trouble, and so you got to abide by what things the Most High has written in the scriptures, and to learn and say, well, this is why it's going on. So I'm not going to be surprised when the blackout happens. I'm not going to be surprised what Trump says. I'm not going to be surprised when the MOTB comes, because it's all written. But those people that try to live that fantasy world and try to, create wealth for themselves without the knowledge, wisdom, understanding of these scriptures and why things are and have to be and shall be, even to the very time of the end, uh, they're going to be stuck out, man. They're going to be stuck out. You can call us crazy for waiting on the Son of God, but we're going to go call you crazy for believing in this demon-ass, wicked, God-forsaken system, this God-forsaken world. Because the same way they thrive for a degree, same way they strive for, to be rich, to be a part of this system, or have some place in this system, is the same thing as, they can try to mock us and say, well, yeah, waiting on a Son of God that'll never come. Or you waiting on a system to get perfect that'll never get perfect. You're waiting on a world that you're able, to try to have peace in, that you'll never have peace. Or trying to look for equality that would never show equality. So, there's two sides of the coin. You flip it, heads or tails. It tells you that in the scriptures. And if you have heads, you could still end up losing. Because at the end of the day, when Jake goes into the society, into this world, he's going to find out, no matter how far he climb up the ladder in society, or how close he's getting rich, he's always going to be the tail, right? Until Yahweh Shai make him the head. And he's going to find out, by seeing the curses, feeling the curses, experiencing them. And we see it. We see it with these celebrities, rich, and then they broke, rich, and then they blackballed, rich, blackmailed, rich, cut off, rich, die. And it sounds like a sad story where the prophets are doomed, but that's reality. And that's something Jake that tries to escape and has been trying to escape all his life reality. So we continue to wait for the Son of God be manifest and to take these powers down. Shalom. Hope it was edifying.